Hello and welcome to Mosports. Thank you for joining us today on a Sunday. As you can see, we're wearing the epic collar shirts. Due to popular demand, unfortunately, people were just like, Sunday, why not? Then we fixed it and we wore them this Sunday. Welcome to the show. My name is Mo, and I'm joined by our in-house sports analyst, Mr. Obi knows himself. Our job is simply to talk all things football, but we cannot neglect the fact that yesterday, the Lions ate the Springboks. I think it's the rule of the jungle. I think it's the rule of the jungle, guys. How do we think the Springboks could kill a lion? But at the end of the day, it is the reality that happened. But we're not here to talk rugby. We're here to talk football. So let's kick it off with what's happening. Obi knows what's happening on today's show.
Well, on today's show, we'll be taking a quick update throughout the PSL. Take a look at which teams have made some signings and which teams are strengthening, of course, their depth. Of course, a lot of teams are in need of that, and we'll be talking a little bit about that. We'll also be taking a look at the Olympics. Of course, the under-23s has just lost to France by 4-3. So we'll be taking a look at that as well, while we'll also take a look at what's going on in Egyptian football. But to start off with, let's get an update of what's going on in the South African football leagues, right? And the Collins Mbesuma is the first player we'll be talking about today, and he signs with Pretoria Callies. Of course, Pretoria Callies, a team that is currently plying their trade in the NFD, and he comes through from after a season with Amatax. Collins Mbesuma comes back to play for Pretoria Callies. And
I love this guy.
You love him?
You know I love this guy.
Why?
It must hurt a lot of people that are not playing right now, that are around his age, that are sitting at home watching him play.
And his size too.
You know the thing about it is that imagine now a lot of bad boys in football, the 2000s rock stars, you know what I mean? Those guys that really were the ones in the 2000s. They look at Collins Mbesuma still going in the 2020s.
Yeah,
and he started with them in the 2000s. And I won't lie. Honestly, a lot of legends go to clubs and say, "But Collins usadlala namanje." And if you look at Collins playing, he's not trying to do anything spectacular. He's played the game. He knows what. I feel like if Kaizer Chiefs wanted to replace Parker or someone who's old, this is the man.
What? Nah, you're trying to do Kaizer Chiefs fans, boy. Trying to kill Kaizer Chiefs fans. I mean, Collins Mbesuma, we would have thought that, he's retired already and all of those things. I mean, after he stayed in the PSL, he played for Pirates. I think he also showed up for Arrows, if I'm not mistaken. So he's been in and around, So I'm pretty sure right now he's probably a player who doesn't, he finds himself in a good space, turns and passes or takes a shot. I don't think he does a lot of work on the field, but one thing I can say and assure is that he does still know how to find the back of the net.
Oh, we know. This man is the space interpreter, this man.
Okay.
Like, watching Collins Mbesuma play now is like, I don't know, but he doesn't expend a lot of energy.
Yeah.
But you can see the skill. You can see the years of experience. I mean, the way he turns around, the way he's able to find a pass that you think that, I mean, when you were looking at Tugs, I don't want to say that Tugs players are not quality, but you could see that at times, he was worlds ahead of the players around him. I mean, he's going to turn around and take out a pass that a player won't be able to trap, or you didn't expect him to pass it to you, though you'd pass it to someone closer. But the vision, though, the vision is what keeps him playing. I think that's what an experienced player gives you, vision, because he's been doing this for a very long time.
I was actually watching a video of him not too long ago. I mean, it was a video of when the Chiefs were playing Bloemfontein Celtic at the Free State Stadium. I do remember that game ended 2-0 to Chiefs, and Mbesuma got both the goals. And you could see, the pace that he had, the strength that he had, shrugging defenders off. You couldn't touch Collins Mbesuma that season. I think that was the same season where he scored about 35 goals, and he went on to go to Pompey, Portsmouth. So I watched those videos, and comparing him from then to now, it gives you a bit of a glimpse of, the transition that Cristiano Ronaldo had to make, his career, from being that skillful winger to being, a much more goal-orientated player, So I really like what Collins Mbesuma has done with his career. I mean, for the fact that he can still, be scoring goals in the second division is quite a lot from him as well.
All right, so let's talk about Gavin Hunt says he knows what he has to do. So what does he mean by that, Robin?
Well, of course he knows, what he has to do at Chippa United. And this was not him actually saying this. It was rather Morgan Mamila. He's one of the heads at Chippa United. And he had to, of course, he was talking on regards to saying that they have failed the club, over the years. The past 10 years with all the equipment and the facilities that the Chippa United have. They should be doing a lot better. And he was speaking to Kickoff just yesterday. And this is what he had to say during that interview with Kickoff. He went on to state that one thing that the team did in the past 10 years was not to was to disappoint rather the world of football, because with the facilities they have, they should be doing much better. And of course, with the signing, with the bringing in a coach, letting a coach go as well at the same time, it doesn't help the team at all. And with the facilities they should be doing a lot better. And that's what they're saying about Kevin Hunt, that Kevin Hunt can come into this team and he can, he doesn't even need to be told what to do, because he's a coach who fights for top 4 spots, year in and year out. Unfortunate with Kaizer Chiefs, but they do believe that they've got the right man to move the club forward, and he doesn't even have a mandate, because Kevin Hunt's mandate is just do what you have to do to get this club back in order.
All right, so let's move on and talk about what's happening in the Olympics. I believe Malepe was named in the team of the round.
Yeah, he was. He was named in the team of the round, and I do think that after that performance and the first game which we played against Japan, we did say that the defending of South Africa was very, very much on point, because we were under attack for most of the game. And it's one thing that I did say that David Notwane would have planned out before the game started, because of the quality that Japan possessed. And going into a back five, now and then occasionally, with Malepe in there as well as Floors, they looked pretty solid. And for him to make it into this team, I'm very impressed with the fact that he made it into this team. And one thing I can say is that from looking at last week's performance and the performance we had against France today, the difference was at the back. We weren't as solid at the back. Although Tertius Malepe was still in the team, we weren't as solid, and that allowed France to be able to come back 3 times and eventually getting that goal that won them the game.
I think watching the Olympics have been interesting when you're watching women's football, because I watched the game against China and I think it was Zambia. That game was a very interesting. Ms. Banda getting herself a hat-trick in that game. But let's talk about what's happening with the PSL. Now, as we know, PSL has not quite told us when the fixtures are starting. No one actually knows what's going on, but they've broken their silence. I think that's a poor choice of words, but they've broken their silence.
They have broken their silence. I mean, the silence has been broken because we were even thinking that maybe when they're breaking their silence, they'll be releasing the date of when when things will start, but they're still unsure as well. They're still unsure, and this comes with Mazola Mulifia, Sokaladuma journalist. Yes, he tweeted that seeing the kit reveals is wonderful to see. The kit reveals are nice and everything, but where are the 2021-2022 season fixtures? Big question. And that's him at Super Journal. You can check him out on social media. But yeah, he had that to say, and of course it did raise a very valid point, because we don't know when the season is starting, and the PSL did come out and said that when the courts have decided with the situation with Royal AM and Sekhukhune, then we'll know when the PSL is going to start. So they're still just as clueless as we are as to when exactly the PSL season will start.
I was speaking to a friend of mine, and he was telling me about how the situation with the courts now is going to actually blow football out of proportion, especially in South Africa. He was saying that now that we can play football in the courtrooms, everything's going to be disputed now, taken to court. If I drop 3 points and I feel like I deserve that 3 points, I'm going to take it to court. Because apparently after the whole Royal M situation, a lot more teams are taking cases to the courts now. So it's a backlog of around 10, 20, 30, even 60 cases that teams are putting in against each other and against the league. So it looks like right now it's not going to end. It's not going to end well. And to be honest, Royal AM also on the other side, their disciplinary hearing has been postponed. So now you release the fixtures, you don't release the date, because you're not sure if maybe Royal AM is the team that's supposed to be in the PSL, and but how are you releasing the? Obi knows what's happening with Royal AM. It's a lot.
Royal AM has still had they are against the PSL. Of course, the PSL are bringing a charge against them for missing those games that they didn't play in the lead up to the playoffs. So of course, I did say that the PSL were going to lay charges against Royal AM for not abiding by the laws. So that disciplinary hearing has been postponed as well, like you did just say. So there's a lot that still has to happen, in terms of court scenarios throughout this next month, because football is starting in the other countries, around the 23rd of August, so we need something to happen in terms of, finding out what is the resolution, towards finding who is going to be in the PSL and who's going to be in the NFD.
I think it's around, let's go to Egypt, because here in South Africa there's too much drama happening in the courts. We should see what's happening in Egyptian football with AHLY and how they are chasing down Zamalek. All right, the only way to express what AHLY are up to at this moment is to go to the website. Don't forget to SMS Super TV to 30978 so you can join us also on this expedition. So let's go to the Super Bets website and let's go see what's happening. So when we arrive, let's go to match info. We just need to see what's happening in this league. We need to see how far they are in terms of points, how many games in hand they have, and what do they have to do to get to the top of the league. I mean, at this point, we all transferred from being Kaizer Chiefs fans to being AHLY fans. That night, that fateful night when Pito claimed that title. So let's go to Egypt. Let's go to the Premier League. So as you can see, there is AHLY sitting second right now. Funny enough, I was looking at the Brazilian Serie A, right? And for you not to play in the continent with the Brazilian Serie A, you have to finish in position 13th.
To not play in the continent.
To not play on the continent, you have to finish in position 13th. That means from position 1 to 12, you're playing on the continent. And then from 13, 14, 15, you're getting nothing. 16, 17, 18, 17, 18, 19. You are going into relegation. So it's like a small space. Like if you finish around 13 to 15, you're not getting much action. You're not getting anything. But if you finish below that, because they have 4 relegation zones there, they have 12 spots for the continent. But we'll talk about that later. As you can see, Zamalek sitting top of the table, 61 points. Obinos did mention with all the games that AHLY have in hand, they need to pull off a perfect record in order to catch up to Zamalek. But at this moment in time, they played in the last 4, they have 3 perfect wins, but they have 1 draw, which slowed them down once again. Obinos saying that with that draw in mind, they need to win everything if they want to be on par with Zamalek in terms of points. Maybe goal difference might be better, but look at it right now. The goal difference on 30, so it can only get worse or get better. Let's go to the fixtures, Obinos. Let's scroll down. Let's go find AHLY. There he is. They're playing Ellentag, one of the few teams that we learned about it earlier on in the season. We couldn't pronounce most of the names, but Ellentag was one of the names we could pronounce. Let's put that website down. So are you worried about AHLY, bro? Do you think that they won't be able to match Zamalek after this run of fixtures?
I think they would. I think they will. I think with the draw that they picked up in the last game, they're going to be very shaken by that. I mean, I did see Pito Musimane coming out, rather not Pito Musimane, but some of the Egyptian press saying that with the goalkeeper, the main goalkeeper missing, Al Shanawi, who is at the Olympics, and Tawik on the right-hand side of the defense, they are missing some very key players, and that's kind of the reason why they couldn't get the win against the National Bank Egypt. And I beg to differ. I do think that they've got the enough quality to be able to compete, despite missing these 2 crucial players. I think they should be doing slightly a bit better. So I think they'll come out and do that, today, and hopefully they'll be getting the 3 points so they can be able to match Zamalek by the time they reach their 27 games.
All right, so let's take a break. When we come back, we'll be talking about what's been happening at the Olympics in regards to football.
You are watching Super TV.
How to register a new SuperBets account. SMS Super TV to 30978 and you will receive an SMS with a sign-up link. Click the link you receive, which will direct you to the SuperBets mobile site. Click login. On the pop-up, click register now. Fill in the required details on the form, from your ID number all the way to your contact details. Be sure to choose a strong password that you will remember. After filling in your details, click submit. In a few minutes, you should receive an OTP if your details were entered correctly. Back onto the SuperBets mobile site, type in your OTP. In a few seconds, you will receive a welcome SMS confirming your new account. A 50 Rand sign-up bonus will reflect in your account within 24 hours of your sign-up. Welcome to our family. SuperBets, bet with the biggest.
Ipondo, no problem. Now ungapopa with SuperBets. Simply SMS Super TV to 30978 and start playing.
You are watching Super TV.
Welcome back to Mosports. Now, if you're just joining us, you missed out on all the local news and the football that's taking place in Egypt. But it's time for us to talk about the Olympics. Now, the Olympics, if you don't know, is that sporting event where all the sporting codes, all of them, are being put in under one roof. At this point, I'm hearing drama that, so this has nothing to do with football in the Olympics, but I'm hearing that more and more countries don't want to host the Olympics. They just think that it's an unnecessary expense.
So, the past 50 Olympics that took place, the past 50 Olympics that took place have all been over budget. just like the Tokyo Olympics right now. The budget that was set out for the Tokyo Olympics was about 10 billion rather. And the amount of money that's been spent before even kickoff of the Olympics was 51 billion. So a lot of money has been spent in that. And the reason why a lot of countries don't want to host anymore is not because of the fact that they can go over budget, but because of the fact that once the Olympics are over, there's no use for all of these facilities that have been built. You know, like the Olympic Village is a good example, because once you have this Olympic Village, it's hotels, it's hospitals, you know, and I don't know why, you know, it's hard to maintain them maybe, you know, and I've seen with Brazil is one of the countries which is currently struggling because they invested so much in some of this, building the stadiums and facilities, but after, you know, after the events happened, there was no use for all of these. And just like the Maracanã Stadium, there was a point of time with the main stadium in Brazil for the national team, they couldn't even maintain it. So it happens that, you know, the countries don't know what to do or how to handle these infrastructure that's been built after, you know, the Olympics have been done.
All right, so let's look at the fixtures from the Olympics men's football tournament. At this point, when I see who's chasing that goal and who's getting close to it, so let's go to the website. Let's go see it. So, let's go. Let's first navigate out of the Egyptian Premier League. Let's go up. Let's go to soccer. Let's go to international. Do you say international?
Yeah.
Let's go to for Olympics. It shows just how much football is taking place around the world. It's AFC. It's a lot, but we don't really. So South Africa not looking so good. From the COSAFA Cup high to this, very disappointing. As you can see, South Africa is sitting fourth in their group. Everybody's got 3 points except Mzansi. At this point, they've lost twice in their last 2 matches now. France, having won and lost, are sitting in third, with Japan sitting in second, with Mexico sitting in first. Both those teams still have to play their games. Let's go down. So I remember we were talking about France and possibly South Africa beating France, but as you can see, now our answer has been given to us that there was no way. It's a very entertaining?
It was really close.
So let's move on. As you can see, Romania, Honduras, New Zealand wrap up this group. As you can see, all three, Romania, Honduras, and New Zealand, have 3 points, while North Korea are suffering the same fate as South Africa, but they haven't played their second game just yet. Let's go down. As you can see, Australia sitting on 3 points, Argentina sitting on 3 points as well. Spain and Egypt only registering 1 point apiece. At this point, Spain and Australia still have to play their game. Let's go down. As you can see, Brazil now with a draw and a win, they're sitting top of their group. It's funny, from beating Germany 4-2 to drawing with Ivory Coast. Like, who sees this coming? I mean, as much as someone did mention that they expect Brazil to be the favorites to lift this trophy, but you don't see this one coming. Like, they beat Germany 4-2. You think that this group is going to be a breeze for them, but they go on and they draw against the Ivory Coast. A very interesting one. In fact, it was a 0-0 draw. Wow. So there's Saudi Arabia sitting in third above Germany, so they still have to play Germany. Germany might just get 3 points and make this group even tighter. So let's put the website away, Winos. Your thoughts before we go look at women's football?
Coming back to the game that South Africa played, I mean, to be honest, I didn't give them a slight chance to beat France, you know. But I think with the performance they gave, we would all agree that, you know, they did pretty well. I mean, they led 3 times in the match, like I did say. You know, of course, we scored the first goal. France came back, and we allowed. The problem was the defense. We allowed France the space. And when you have we play against a striker like Andre Gignac, who's got so much experience, you know, over the years, was part of that team as well that came to the 2010 FIFA World Cup. That's a player who knows where to be at the right time, and we saw that today. I mean, scoring those 3 goals, also scoring a penalty as well. I do think that we had a very good game. I mean, the boys gave all they had, but it was just unfortunate in the last minutes of the game, conceding a goal such as the one we did was just very disappointing to end the game like that after leading 3 times.
All right, so let's go look at the women's game and see how they've been faring in terms of their tournament. So let's navigate out of here. You know, let's go back to the Olympics. Let's go look for Olympics. Do we have to look for Olympics women or just go straight to Olympics?
Big games women.
There we go. So there we go. As you can see, Great Britain. I'm thinking that, you know what, after the British and Irish Lions beat South Africa last night, someone in Britain is saying we should do this with our football as well. Like, just first you're eliminating opponents, because now you don't need to face Wales or Scotland. You know what I'm saying? You fight. Then you know from there, super squad, we're going to hurt them. But as you can see, Great Britain out there with 6 points. They are above Canada, Japan, and Chile. Chile have not registered a point, while Japan only registered 1 point. Canada sitting on 4. In the second group, now Netherlands are leading that group with a draw and a win. funny how all these teams drew in the first game of their tournament, but China and Zambia subsequently losing out in this game. Now, the funny thing is, the China-Zambia game, that opening game was an interesting draw. Was it a 4-4 draw? It was a 4-4 draw.
Yeah.
I mean, the amount of comebacks that you saw. But you know what it showed me when it came to the women's game in that in that match? That the goalkeeping.
Yeah,
like,
the goalkeeping's
the
terrible.
goalkeeping, wow. Like, yeah, I know the goalkeeping's not the one, but it's the goalkeeping. I mean, look at this. Zambia's already conceded 14 goals
in
and
2
scored
games.
7 in 2 games. The goalkeeping situation. And at that time, you look at, click on Zambia quickly, let's see if they're keeping records of who's scoring the goals for Zambia. See, they have 7 goals. You might find that Banda scored all of them. Scored down. I mean, look at that. The Netherlands beat them 10-3. Then they went on to play with China. They drew 4-4. So already it's like it's a high
They
score.
score, but they concede a lot.
You know what I'm saying? It's like they're like it's fine. So there he is, Barbara Banda. So there's Barbara Banda. She's played 2 games, 180 minutes, and she scored 6 of the 7 goals that Zambia have scored in this tournament. It's quite crazy. I mean, you don't see this kind of stats anywhere else, but in the Olympic Games with this tournament. How old is she? She's a 2000.
Yeah, 2000 and
She's 21 years old at this point.
she's the one.
You think that Lyon is sitting wherever they are? They're like, we didn't win the Champions League last season. We need to sign Barbara Banda. What's that?
Definitely.
What's that?
Definitely. Definitely. I think that's the chat.
That's definitely the chat. I mean, when you think about women's football, I mean, let's go back up, Let's go see how the rest of the groups look. But this game Zambia has been a very interesting team to watch in this tournament. I mean, thinking about the goals they score and the goals they concede, it's just like, wow, you guys have let all of them in. Let's go out. You know what's funny about that game, All the goals came from outside the box.
That's a lot.
It's a lot.
That's
But
a
this is how it's looking for their fixtures coming up. USA play Australia, New Zealand face Sweden, Canada face Great Britain, while Chile face Japan, and Brazil face Zambia. Now, just to give you context as to who's in this Brazil squad, do you mind just for the people at home to see that, Guzen, you were hard, boy. Yeah, I know, they're just trying to change. Try to click on the flag there, let's see.
Right, let's see if we click on yes.
Here we go. Let's scroll down. Let's go see who's in this team. Just go. All right, I don't know anyone else. Let's go straight to the strikers. You don't know anyone else here. Let's not even try to lie to ourselves. There is that number 10.
1978, boy, Formiga.
The oldest player in the tournament.
Yeah.
But there is the danger name, There's Marta. Marta's played 165 minutes. She scored 3 goals. At least Banda has scored 6 at this point.
Yeah.
But her goalkeeping situation, she needs to talk to a goalkeeper about that. But let's put the game away. Let's put the side away. What do you think should change in the women's game? I mean, I was looking at it and thinking to myself, the goalkeeper. I feel like if the goalkeeper was to improve, then we look at a more competitive game in terms of the Olympics.
Look, the goalkeeping, it's always been a problem for me, the goalkeeping. I mean, my one and only, the only goalkeeper that I've always trusted in women's football is a former USA goalkeeper, Hope Solo, and she was pretty much the best female goalkeeper in the world.
That's
for a very long
USA
time.
was cleaning up.
For a very long time, she was the best goalkeeper in the world, and I do think that there's a lot of work that can be done. I've seen the South Africa's Andile Sticks Lamini. She's pretty good. She's pretty good at what she does. I do think a bit more goalkeeping coaching. A little bit more braveness in it as well, because you need to be 100% brave when you're a goalkeeper. I mean, you hurt yourself from just diving for a ball, so you need to be a little bit more brave. But look, I think just training is all it is. I don't think it's impossible for women to actually step up and become goalkeepers. I mean, if there's women who play rugby, we can definitely have a proper female goalkeeper as well.
I think maybe we should talk about the fact that it shows a lack of investment from the national teams in terms of their coaching staff, in terms of the goalkeeping department. I mean, you look at the men's game. I mean, these are countries that already have a men's team that's performing. Zambia won the AFCON not so long ago. They have a good national side. But when you look at the women's game, why is there neglect in terms of the goalkeeping department? It looks like sometimes you should share the resources if you don't want to hire new people.
Yeah.
And maybe from time to time, just say, let's overlap these people. Like, you guys must go with this team, help them improve here and there. What about the clubs as well? I mean, at club level, why are the clubs not developing these goalkeepers?
And it's funny because even if you look at South Africa, you're looking at Zambia, the female teams are the ones that are performing much better than the male teams, and it's been the case for quite some time, but I do think that you are right by saying that, maybe resources should be shared. I mean, I feel like women play a lot more international football than guys do as well, so maybe, when the main national team is not playing, then and the coaching staff, let them, shift up and help the women's side as well, So I think it's one of the things that we should be trying to look at and trying to fix in women's football right now.
All right, I'm going to ask Obinos a key question here. Obinos, do you feel brave enough to make a best lip for the Olympics right now?
Yeah, for the men's, let's go in.
For the men's, not the women's.
The women's, boy, it's a bit tricky. It's a bit tricky. I mean, we saw USA lost the other time, and we're like, whoa, USA. And they're still going to court, the USA. They're still going to court against the federation because they're still not getting that equal pay, So they're still looking for that equal pay vibe.
But they should be paid more because they win trophies.
Exactly. Exactly. They should be doing a lot more better than the USA.
Yeah, but it's the US, boy. They don't even know what sport that is. Like, I'm sure they keep saying
soccer.
They're like, what is football? Women are playing football. They must be shocked. Let's go. There's a football World Cup. They're shocked as hell. Let's go to the website. Let's go try and make this best lip. Let's see how brave you are in terms of what you think you have and what. Who knows? Translate this one.
Boy, it's the new news. What I'm saying.
No, log in before you start other things. Because you're also coming in with the new news. You're forgetting that you must log in.
It happens, boy.
Log in.
Happen. Well, it's bad, but we need to fix.
Go to soccer. Olympics.
Yeah, it's the Olympic Games.
See, there's American football. Claro, there, NFL. Tom Brady's the only player I know.
Soccer.
Yeah.
Wait.
Why are you saying handball?
Boy, I don't know.
The hand of God.
Okay, there's only women's soccer here. So I
Let's
guess
go.
Let's go to soccer first.
It says women's soccer winner.
I think at soccer we'll be able to find.
Wait, hold on. It's only women's soccer. Let's just go to Daysky.
If we go to soccer, we'll find all of them. I'd like to think.
I love they didn't even give us the option. Hey, show you flames now. One of these days, I want to go into one of these random ones. Yeah, you know what I mean? Like I want to go into Hungary.
Games.
Let's just go to
Also
Hungary.
look at the women's as well.
It's not giving us anything. Okay, let's go to women's. Why is it saying UEFA Nations League? Are they back again?
Yeah.
Dude. Okay, let's do this. Obinos. Give it to USA.
Gonna give it to USA.
Yeah, we're gonna do one of those slips.
I'll tell you one thing though, Australia are on fire at this point.
They must wait. Then they don't wait. Then I'm screwed.
I'm giving this to Great Britain. Bro.
Yeah, give it to Great Britain and then Brazil. Give it to Brazil there against
don't have a
Zambia.
bad squad actually.
Oh, but if you give it to
See
Zambia.
more markets, maybe we can say Brazil will score more than 5.
No, we can't. Go back. You can't go back. Okay, make the best lip. It's fine. But think about it. If Zambia were to beat Brazil.
Aye, boy.
Okay, wait. Let's just see what the odds would be. Just click on away win and then you fix it afterwards. See, now we're making 259 rand. Go there, say away and click on home. Minus cancel home. Let's see.
Boy, I'm sorry, but that's not gonna happen, dog.
What do you mean that's not gonna happen?
Boy, Brazil are gonna lose to a team that concedes 10 goals in one game.
You know what? Let's take a break. Obi knows it's a mess right now. When we come back, we'll continue the conversation and look at what's happening elsewhere in world football.
You are watching Super TV. are watching Super TV.
Hello and welcome back to Mosports. If you're just joining us, we've been covering what's been happening in the local game and the Olympics, and now we are moving on swiftly to what's happening around the world. Well, first things first, we just got to remind you that things have not been quite easy in South Africa, especially of late with the whole looting and lockdown level 4s and all that stuff. But a lot of people have been trying to put their lives together, and unfortunately it's not as easy said than done, because some people don't have the kind of income that our star footballers have, our coaches have. Pito has 7 million. If he pennies out today, he builds another one. Maybe even moves, buys another one somewhere else. Even in fact, he lives maybe in a gated community. But the thing is, not everyone has that luxury. And Linda Mtembo, is involved in a project, or he decided to involve himself in a situation that needed his attention.
Yeah, Linda Mtembo. One of my favorite Orlando Pirates players, and not because of what he only does on the field, but like you see a lot of his videos on social media, dancing around. He's a jolly individual. One thing you do learn about him when you follow him on social media is that he's a family man. He's a family man, married, he's got kids. And one thing that I've seen often from Linda Mtembo is obviously that he's family orientated, and he gives back to, he likes giving back to his beginnings. I've seen him posting about Ocho Mosono, and this was his recent post that I saw on social media. He says, "Yesterday I saw this house on Facebook that burned down in Meadowlands Zone 6 a few days ago, and this morning I decided to go donate couches. It's sad to see this family of 8 going through a tragic loss to their belongings, home, and memories they have built over the years through a fire." And the next post after this one is obviously a post of him posting banking details if you are keen to help out the family rebuild their house. And I do think that this is a brilliant initiative that he's got himself into. No one asked him to do it. It was just from the bottom of his heart. He saw this house and decided that I need to do something for this family, and indeed that's exactly what he did. So I'm very happy that we still have such footballers who can be able to give back to communities in such a way, not only by donating to charities, because when you go into a charity, pictures are going to be taken and all of that for the fame, but this man doing it from the bottom of his heart, and I'm very happy to see this happening in South Africa.
I like to see the fact that he's actually donating, not being donated to, because usually we see in our environment that people will be like cameras or Zanibo, and then when they get there, we're all donating to you to help fix your problems. But it's nice to see him saying that, look, this family's struggling and I was always there to help, which is great. It shows that those bones on the chest are not just there for show, eh?
Yeah, no.
They're contributing to the people.
Yeah, no, they do contribute, and it's very beautiful to see. Like I'm saying, it's very beautiful to see South African footballers doing this. I mean, we're seeing it with the Marcus Rashfords out there in the world. They're getting MBEs because they're feeding millions of kids in the street. But it all starts with a small gesture, and I do think that this is a very, very beautiful gesture from Linda Mtembo.
All right, so let's move on back to the Glad Africa, the NFD, as some of you call it. Well, there's never no need. There's always drama in the NFD. I feel like the NFD, when we're not writing headlines about the PSL, the NFD is like, look at me, I'll show you flames. So now all we know is we have a new face in the NFD coming in. They from what I understand, they finished 5th in ABC Motsepe, and then they went on board status from Cape Umoya.
Yeah,
and now.
So Cape Umoya was selling. It seems like from what I'm reading, it looks like Cape Umoya were actually selling, and Cape Umoya are actually owned by Roger Dessau and his consortium. So Roger Dessau, former coach of Orlando Pirates, took them to the finals of the CAF Confed, and they lost out. But Roger Dessau is one of the owners of Cape Umoya FC, and one of their plans was to buy status in the PSL. So I don't know if that's still going to happen, because that was part of the reason why they sold their status to Venda Football Academy. Venda Football Academy are, like you did say, they finished in the Limpopo stream. They finished 5th in the Limpopo stream, and right now they're looking, of course, to be playing in the professional divisions of South African football, which is brilliant to see. I mean, we're having a conversation just before the show about how many teams Limpopo has. Not only in the PSL, but in the top 3 divisions, including of course the ABC Motsepe League. And there's quite a lot of Limpopo teams, and it's very good to see that football is coming out of that amateur development, and they're coming into a professional level. It's brilliant to see. We thought TTM were very good. We thought that they would have a good season after speaking to one of the owners earlier on last season. It didn't work out out the way they would like to, but they sold the team. It's still in Limpopo, and they're looking, to move on to bigger and better things. So hopefully it's the same thing with Venda Football Academy. But I can say they are attracting a couple of names that, of course, were
Talk
in
to
the
us about
PSL
those
before.
names.
We started off with Innocent Mkhabela. I knew him from Platinum Stars, and it was a couple of years ago when Platinum Stars was still, a team that were at the peak of its powers. He went on to sign with Kaizer Chiefs, and I think at that point, that was when his career started to go a bit down the barrel, not getting a lot of game time. Also, he was competing with quite a lot of big names at the time at Kaizer Chiefs. Yeah, was still part of that team, so it was very hard to replace those staple names in there. So his career went a bit down the drain at Kaizer Chiefs, but since then, he's found himself, back in football, and I'm very glad to see him.
Who else is involved there?
They've also got Rogadi Nyundu. Rogadi Nyundu, a lot of Limpopo football fans will know him because he was a starter at Black Leopards a couple of years ago. It's so surprising how quick the years have gone. He was wanted by so many teams. Orlando Pirates, Kaizer Chiefs were all looking to bring in Rogati Nyundu, but things didn't go very well for him. He ended up at Bloemfontein Celtic as well. Didn't have a very great time there, but he finds himself trialing at Venda Football Academy, and it's good to see. It's good to see that they're still trying to get back at the highest level. And Johnny Ferreira will be the coach of the team, or is already the coach of the team. We did see that he had his exploits at not Stellenbosch, but at Sekhukhune United. He had a time there as well. So he's a coach who's coming in with a bit of experience. He's also coached in the PSL before. So he's coming into this team. I'm looking to build this team and get it into, hopefully the NFD, like the owner of the team is saying.
What I find very interesting is now that the team's name is Venda Football Academy, right?
Yeah.
So for me, if you're talking about an academy, I'm thinking it's a structure within a club.
Yeah.
So for it to be a football club, I mean, are they a substructure or are they the entire institution?
It's the entire club, and I was actually trying to read and find out if the name is maybe going to change to something else, But from what I read, it doesn't look like they're going to be changing a name, but we will, of course, know exactly what the situation is by the time the season starts. Yeah. But they are still going with Venda Academy and Venda Football Academy. And one thing I saw is that they have a Venda Football Academy goalkeeping school as well. So they are. I think they were maybe starting off like that with having goalkeeping school and then building onwards. I'm not quite too sure about that, but I read a few lines where I saw that they have a Venda Football Academy school. So I do think that they might be looking to change their name, but I'm not all too sure about that as yet.
I think when you look at the substructure of an academy, I think what they were hoping for is that, look, with an academy, not all the players get sold. That's the reality of it. Not every player is going to leave, get a contract, then you're going to get your money's worth. Yeah. Some players need to be proven at the highest level of the game. Yeah. So that for them might be a way to say, look, this is going to be our first team. This is where you can display our players and let them get some experience. So when we sell them off, we can make the money from that. But maybe that's the structure they're looking for. Just to say, look,
it's a good way,
you know what I'm saying? Because how many players have we paid to go to trials, go to academies? And so that gives this culture where if you failed at football, sorry for saying this, but if you failed at football, you go out, you go into your community, start an academy, you sell tracksuits. The players must pay 1,000 for tracksuits, for coaching, for cones, and then these players will come and spend a season with you, and then next season again they have to cough up that money once again. So if a structure has like with VFA, if they can play in a tournament that gives them money, like the Nedbank Cup or playing in the Athlete Africa, that money is able to sustain the fact that these players won't have to pay an arm and a leg just to be able to play football. They can play football in the academy setup that is making enough money to sustain the players and the divisions below them. Let's hope that they have the right structure and they can take this forward, because South Africa has been needing something of this nature. But let's move on. Let's talk about the European pre-season. Let's talk about Man United. At this point in time, Old Trafford is talking about contract extensions, but it's not a player this time. It's the coach. It's the head man.
They've extended the contract of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, and I don't know how I feel about it, really. I don't know how I feel about it because I think Ole has done a decent job, compared to all the managers that have been there. He's done a very decent job over the last 3 years. They should have kept Jose.
No.
They should have kept Jose. They should have kept
go to
Jose.
PSG.
They should have kept Jose at that time. But Ole Gunnar Solskjaer came through, took that same squad, and we saw that the way he didn't really change the style of play, because Jose was very defensive when he was playing when he was still the coach of Man United. So I think one thing that we can say changed was that the counter attacking from transitioning from defense to attack was quite quick. We saw how Marcus Rashford also shined a little bit more under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. I wouldn't say that he's really improved his game, under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, but he definitely is a great player to be looking out for Marcus Rashford, you know. So with the signings that they've also made, I do think the team looked slightly better last season. I don't think they had a great season last season. They could have done a lot better, because looking at, like I always say, you know, the reason why I don't say that they had a great season was because they only finished 5 points ahead of a Liverpool team that struggled the entire season, you know. So I don't think they had a great season in that aspect, you know. But I do think that they're still building towards something, and with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer at the helm for maybe one more season, it's not going to hurt. But they're not ambitious enough, because you still have Antonio Conte, who doesn't have a job. We spoke about Antonio Conte just yesterday. He's a coach who didn't want to join Tottenham Hotspurs because they lacked ambition. And if Man United are claiming to have such ambition, then why aren't they looking at such people like Antonio Conte? Big question.
All right, so let's see how the fans reacted, because this announcement came after Manchester United lost 4-2 to QPR. And don't forget that the person who was on the score sheet, the person who's opened the scoring for Man United, was the one and only Lingardinho. Yeah, Jesse Lingard. He was the man who opened up the scoring. But let's hear what the fans had to say on their side in terms of, are they happy with this contract extension? Do they feel that this is the right thing for Manchester United to do? Obi knows, talk to us about the tweets.
Yeah, we got to see the tweets. The first tweet, of course, you know, that we'll be looking at is, of course, you know, fans, I can't say that, you know, there's people who are happy about it, there's people who are not happy about it. And this is the first one. It says, Man United has performed well under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. He's a quality tactician, and the club is lucky to have him as a manager. He inherited a team that needed major rebuilding, but his coaching abilities revived the club. He deserves some accolades. Best of luck to the club. And that's Daniel Rega, right? And then there's...
Daniel Rega's coming with other things. You don't deserve accolades, you win accolades. This is football. When I say trophies, Chief, we don't want to hear chats.
Yeah,
I mean, as much as he's a great coach, fine, we'll give it to him, but he made it to a Europa League final, which he lost. A lot of Liverpool fans will say Liverpool also did the same thing in their first 2 seasons,
Klopp,
and they went on to achieve other things. But let's see what other tweeters said.
This is the guy replying to the first tweet that we just had. Rebuilding for 3 years, no trophies, bottling every final. You got sent to UEL for UCL, bottled a final against Baby Villarreal with good players he got. Is that rebuilding? Keep dreaming till he bottle another final again.
Yeah, see, now this is more real. This is more real. First of all, we also last season as Man United crashed out of the Champions League, scoring Europa League, and then everybody was like, "These are the favorites to win it." They are the favorites.
They were,
and they were the overwhelming favorites. I mean, look at Villarreal, but the one thing we forgot was who was the coach of the other team. I mean, first of all, Unai Emery, that's his trophy.
Good evening.
Yeah, that is his trophy. That is his trophy. You can't tell him otherwise. But let's see the last tweet.
And then this is the third tweet. This is someone else responding to a completely different tweet. He says, "That's it. That sealed the deal. I'm no more a United fan. I've been a United fan since 1989 and a season ticket holder since 1990. I will no longer watch on TV or renew my tickets. I'm taking my fanhood to Leeds United, where they actually know how to run a football team."
Yo!
Trevor Tuchel, of course, it's a catfish account. Of course, you can see already they have Pulisic on the picture, so I'm guessing maybe he's American, you know. But yeah, that's pretty much, you know, how people are
that's
feeling.
harsh, though.
You know, that's pretty much. I think we have one more tweet we can look at, but you know, that's how people are really feeling at this point of time when it comes to, you know. And then this is my favorite one. Congratulations, the plumber, Ole Gunnar Bean. Peter Musimane is clear, no debate, Lapo.
So they're saying Peter's greater than
Yes.
Ole Gunnar Solskjaer.
So that's exactly.
The thing is with Man United,
what
man.
is saying,
Man United, honestly, the reason why they're keeping Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, let's be honest, they need someone that the players and the team and the fans can believe in. That is basically the biggest goal. Someone who's did it with Man United, someone who's a legend with Man United. I mean, that's why they're forgiving him so much. If this was just a random brur, Rafa Benitez would have been sacked if it was him, boy.
But do you think? I don't think the fans believe though.
The fans don't believe
like,
anymore.
It's a split fan base.
But
Some guys are saying
but
some are saying nah.
But Obi knows, looking at Man United, I don't want to be that guy, but look at Man United before Sir Alex Ferguson. They were a big club that wanted to dethrone the big club. And Sir Alex Ferguson came in and said, "I will dethrone the big club," which he achieved. Once he left, what was the vision from there? You know what I mean? It was just like, how do we maintain being this great? There was no vision to say, look, the next coach must come in and do something better. They didn't say we're gonna beat Liverpool Champions League titles. We're not gonna. There hasn't been a vision. There hasn't been a goal. I mean, you look at when Jurgen Klopp arrived at Liverpool. He said, "Give me 5 seasons, I'll bring the trophy." He came in with a goal and a vision. All these guys are coming in with, "We'll bring you back to top 4." And that's exactly what they're doing. And because there's no vision. There's no vision at Man United. I mean, you keep signing the same kind of players. You keep signing the same kind of coaches. You keep signing players that are not great achievers. So let's take a break. And when we come back, maybe this conversation will go in the right direction. Let's just take a break. Let's just...
You are watching Super TV.
Winners know when to pull out. Just SMS Super TV to 30978 and practice your pull-out game.
Big dog status, I'm a big dog vet. I pull up on the block in a big Corvette.
You are watching Super TV.
4 minutes. Welcome back to the show. Just before the break, we were arguing about Manchester United, and I said that maybe it's because all the coaches that have been coming into Man United haven't quite expressed a proper vision just as yet. So let's re-invite you to the show. The name of the show is Mosports. I'm Moses Obi Knows, and this is our in-house sport analyst, and we're talking football right now. So Obi Knows, the reason I was mentioning that, right? When you look at the history of Man United, you look at the history of when Sir Alex Ferguson came into the club, and how he expressed that, look, Manchester Liverpool, they think that they're all that. I mean, I'm going to dethrone them. And look at when, at the time he retired, he already had more league titles than Liverpool. You know what I mean? He had surpassed them. He had achieved what he wanted to achieve. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer comes in and he looks more like a believer. Like, let's make you guys believe in this guy and what he's able to do. It's not really a thing of we're going to go in and challenge the big clubs.
I don't think it was a thing of believer. I mean, remember Ole Gunnar Solskjaer just came in as an interim coach. He came in as an interim coach, did well in the Champions League, beating PSG, you know, that night in Paris. And then they decided, let's give him a job, you know, let's make him full-time. And based off that, you know, that's how he got the permanent post. But to say that they brought him in to make fans believers, I would say that only counts because of those performances before he got the contract.
Yeah.
You know, but other than that, there's no reason for them to believe. Because, you look at Liverpool, for example, since you use Liverpool as an example. Klopp came and he made us believers because he dethroned Bayern Munich that side. You know, he won the league, twice in a row?
Twice in a row,
He went to the Champions League final, you know, so we knew that we're getting someone here who has pedigree, who's going to get these boys playing well. And that's exactly what happened, you know. So I don't think that Man United are given the same vibe with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer because he's not proven to be a championship-winning coach. It's just our legend, let's bring him in.
And the fans want the Glazers out, all these situations. But we have 2 minutes, Obino. Let's talk about Liverpool's preseason. Who are they linked with and why? Quickly.
Right now they're linked with Jared Bowen. Jared Bowen, and I'm pretty sure you're thinking that I'm going to say something bad about this kid, right?
No,
I'm not. I want him to sign for Liverpool. Like, I want Jared Bowen to sign for Liverpool, and I'll tell you why. Firstly, okay, we've got Harvey Elliott, right, who's left-footed, can come off the left, right? We already have a left-footed player, but you know, it's not always the case in football that you have a lot of left-footers, you know, in a team. And I do think that having one extra left-footer in a front three that has 3 left-footers with Salah and Elliott and Jared Bowen coming in. I think it gives you variety to be able to, you know, if you want someone who'll be able to cross the ball on the left from, you know, if maybe you're not getting, Robertson, maybe they're closing down Robertson, you bring in this guy, right? But this guy also can find the net, and this is Jared Bowen's stats. You know, pretty much 12 goals in the championship. 52 goals in the championship, 9 goals in the Premier League. You know, scored 2 goals in cup competitions, and he's got a few assists as well in there. I do think that he's got a lot that he can grow into, right? And I say this because I've seen what Klopp did with Diogo Jota, pretty much the same age group, 23, 24. So I do think that Jared Bowen coming in is someone that we are not expecting him to perform at the peak of his powers as yet, but he's someone who can come in and do exactly that after seeing what Jota did rather at Liverpool last season.
All right, so let's see the Liverpool's ins and outs, because Obino's mentioned 3 left-footers and Shaqiri was not involved. So let's see if Shaqiri has left
the other one is going to bounce.
Let's see. Has he left? Well, let's see the ins and outs.
He's not left, but these are the outgoings so far. 1 left-footer in Harry Wilson going out, 14 million.
14, that's a lot.
14 million to Fulham for a
Harry
player.
Wilson.
For a player who's been playing championship football for the past 3 seasons. So I do think this is another masterclass from Liverpool in terms of letting go of a player.
There goes Grujic.
Taiwo Awoniyi signs for Union Berlin. He was on loan last season with them, 6.5 million. I think that's brilliant. Marco Grujic only leaving for $1 million. He's been on at loan to Porto for about the past 2 seasons.
Yeah.
And then you look at Gini Wijnaldum, who's left on a free, right? And we're looking at the incoming players, the players that came in. There's only one, of course, and that is Ibrahim Konate so far, and we spent 40 million on Ibrahim Konate coming in at Liverpool. I do think that we can do a little bit more in the transfer window, especially in that midfield position. I do think that Gini is going to be a very big miss, but having seen what Keita's doing, can't trust Keita though, that's the problem. We can't really go into the season and say, Keita's our main starter. We need to bring someone else in there because we know Keita can, decide to get an injury, or not decide, but he can just get an injury, at any time of the season. Play 3 games, he's hot, next thing, injury for the next 5 months, is out, So I do think that we need to strengthen, we need someone to replace Gini Wijnaldum, and that's as I stand with Liverpool right now.
All right, so let's end the show right there with Obino's putting his words when it comes to Liverpool Football Club. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you again tomorrow from 1 to 2 p.m. here on Super TV, powered by Mosports.
You are watching Super TV.
So sorry.
But have you never been in a situation like that where you want to slap the waiter like that?
Slapping them